Okay, there we go. Take two, guys, because we just started. We were ranting for like literally 35 minutes until
35 minutes.
until I realized I didn't actually hit the record button. So,
Oh dear.
my gosh. Okay, well, anyway, we're back. Like this has been, I think it's been 2 years, 2 years since we did a proper episode. And to really start off this new leaf of the podcast strong. We've got the first ever, the woman who was the first ever guest on Home-Brewed Bookworms. She's back,
Yep,
and she's gonna
that I
be,
am.
yeah. And Jessica, you're gonna be a recurring voice. Like
I
people are gonna be
am. You're
sick,
going to hear a lot of me. You're going to be so sick of my voice.
if that's possible, guys. Um. Anyway, yeah. So Jessica's gonna be a recurring guest. Well, figure, guest, voice, not even
Yeah,
guest. She's gonna be a recurring.
not really a guest. It's Honor's podcast, but I'm here to assist her.
Yeah, Jessica's like the lovely guiding, saving voice of this thing because I can't. Um, if any, okay, I should explain this. Our lovely Elizabeth, who we started this podcast with, is no longer with us.
She's not dead, guys. Don't worry.
Um, no, she's doing some. She's delving into her art studies, and she's very busy, but she's doing wonderful things. And hopefully, she's listening to this. If so, we wish you well, Elizabeth, and hopefully you enjoy
and
this.
and hi,
Yes,
because we've all been busy and we haven't spoken in a while, so this is indirect hi from both of us.
and Salve, Salve is
Latin, yes,
hi. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Anyway, Jessica, we're going to be talking about the basic mascot of Homebrew Bookworms. He's appeared in
Pretty much.
every single podcast episode. He's been brought up, and we all love him. We missed him, and it's Richard III, the
We do
infamous,
love Richard III.
the infamous
Yes.
uncle, crooked-backed and scoliosis and evil, or not.
Or not. We don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
I
we
don't
only
think.
know what we can tell from history books.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he was as bad as Shakespeare made him out to be, personally.
No, but I don't think he was necessarily as saintly as the North made him out to be either.
No, I don't think he like the Ricardians make him out to be a saint. And I used to say
Yes.
I was Ricardian, but I've stepped back from that. My
I
Ricardian days
think I'd say likewise, yeah. I think I delved too deep into the having too much of an opinion
are
thing a couple of years ago. But
not not enough people have an
unbiased.
opinion though. Like, I think a lot of
That
people
that is true.
are on the fence about things, and we need more exciting opinions, as
We
long as
do.
they're the right ones.
Agree or you're dead. No, I'm joking.
Exactly. Anyway, so we're gonna
Yeah.
be talking a bit about Richard and the Battle of Bosworth, and
Yeah, and what happened after that? Because
yeah.
we love Richard, but we can't talk about him indefinitely,
No, and also
unfortunately.
what
So
led from his death was really like changed the world forever,
it
basically.
did, yeah.
But also, I just realized that the Battle of Bosworth wasn't on the Battle of Bosworth Field, on the Bosworth Field, which I didn't realize before.
Mm. There are some funny names for things that don't necessarily make sense, but now we know and love them. So the Battle of Bosworth, as most of you probably know if you've been listening for a while, was a battle in 1485 on the 22nd of August, which was a summer's day. And it ended the Wars of the Roses, which was a period of civil war between the Lancastrians, who were the Red Roses, and the Yorkists, who were the White Roses. And it lasted for about 32 years.
Yeah.
32 years.
I think that's what the Google said.
Yes, I do believe that is what Google said. This is where we get our information, guys.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
By
We
the
get it
way,
from history books.
was that something that you were about to line drop, the Battle of Bosworth thing? Because I didn't. I was doing a quick Google before we press hit record again. Did I
No,
steal your line? Okay, fine.
no, I don't think I actually knew that.
Okay,
So
fine.
it's nice to learn new
I
things.
had a sudden panic that oh no, I've stolen one of Jessica's facts.
No,
Okay,
no, don't worry.
cool.
Quick couple facts about 1485, not 1845. That
Yeah.
was yonks later. Uh, that year was the year that the sweating sickness arrived in England. In actually the same month as the Battle of Bosworth in August. And the sweating sickness is what carried off Prince Arthur, who
Coincidence?
we will
I
talk
think
about.
not.
uh, we will talk about him a little bit more a little bit later in the episode.
Mhm.
Not enough people know about him, which I think is quite sad
I
because
know.
he was quite a crucial figure. He was a less significant figure, but he was a crucial figure in a lot
Mhm.
of the events that followed.
Yeah.
But we'll get to him later. Uh, Henry VII, who defeated Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth, was crowned on the 30th of October in 1485, and he was the son of Lady Margaret Beaufort, who was from the forbidden Beaufort line
Mhm.
um, Plantagenets, who are a subsection of the Lancastrians, and they were forbidden from the throne. They were not allowed to
Mhm.
reign England.
I think he was even
Um,
exiled or something when he came up
yes,
against.
he was.
Yeah.
Exiled to France, I believe.
Mhm.
And he, through his mother, was descended from John of Gaunt, who was the uncle of Richard II, and is the reason, I believe, that he was not allowed to be on the throne.
Mhm.
But that didn't stop him. He defeated the king and went, well, guys, look at me. I'm going to be king now.
Give me
Uh,
that crown.
yeah. And he then, as a Lancastrian, married Elizabeth of York, thus
Yeah.
combining the houses and creating the red and white rose, which is the Tudor rose, is what it's called. And he carved that into every building that was built during his reign. He was like, put that rose on that building, show everyone that I am good for the kingdom. Um,
You'll probably see that on a lot of like historic Anglican churches, maybe.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can. And some of the churches that remained Catholic, so there are a lot of churches around England that were Catholic and then were during the Reformation and the dissolution of the monasteries became Protestant and Anglican
Mhm.
because it was illegal to be Catholic. But there are some that have survived, and Catholic churches tend to be, they're so beautiful. They tend to have elaborate, like brightly coloured paintings everywhere.
Yeah.
And the
I
Tudor
think,
Rose was in a lot of those paintings.
yeah, during the time, I think because when the Puritans came and during the Reformation, all the different denominations started springing up, like with
Mm-hmm.
Calvinism and Lutheranism and Anglican.
Yeah.
Um, there was a lot of trying not to uh, distract for or have earthly wealth in churches, basically. But I think the Catholic Church
Yeah.
didn't do that.
Nah. The Catholic churches, I mean, I'm personally a Protestant. On as a Catholic, we have great conversations about this,
I
and
know,
we
it's
might
awesome.
put it in an episode at one point. Um,
I think we should.
the Catholic, we should, yeah. The Catholic churches I've been in are so beautiful,
Mhm.
like elaborate stained glass and paintings everywhere, and like statues. They're amazing. I do really love going into a Catholic service and just sitting there in awe at
Woohoo!
the building. Um, uh, so yes, the Tudor Rose. Henry and Elizabeth had a son
Mhm.
called Arthur. He was born the year after they got married because in those days you didn't wait to have kids. You just had kids, which is pretty cool because kids are a blessing. But
They really are.
yeah, he was the Tudor Rose personified, the offspring of the Lancastrians and the Yorkists combined. Um, and he was called Arthur because of King Arthur being a picture of chivalry in England.
Yeah.
England's hero soon to return
He's
in
been
her
like
time of
England.
need.
He's like England's golden boy.
England's knight in shining armour.
Yeah.
Um, and so they went, well, what better name to name our son who is going to grow up to protect England?
Hmm.
Um, obviously, they did not know what was going to happen,
Nope.
and he would later die before his father in 1502.
Yeah.
Um, but we are not quite there in the story yet.
Hmm.
Um, so Henry married Elizabeth and had Arthur. He then had 6 other kids. He had Arthur in 1486, the year after they got married. He married Elizabeth, I think in 1485, but it might have been 1486, and Arthur was born that same year.
Yeah, that makes
It was
sense.
one of the two. It was around that time.
Yeah.
He was born on either the 19th or the 20th of September. It's debated.
Yeah.
And he died in 1502. Margaret was born 3 years later in 1489, and she lived well into adulthood. She died in 1541, so which is pretty good considering the general age range of people in those days.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Henry was born. Yeah.
I think she ended up marrying quite a lot of I don't know if she was the one to marry King of France, Margaret. Maybe that was someone else. I know one of the siblings did.
That might have been Mary. I think Margaret married into the Scottish line.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Mary, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Henry's daughter Mary. I think it was Henry VIII's daughter Mary.
That's it. Yeah.
Um,
Well, Henry VIII's daughter Mary married the King of Spain.
Yes, she did. So it might have been Henry VII's daughter Mary.
Yeah. There's a good book
married
I
the King of
read
France.
by Jean Plaidy about her. And I can't remember if it was Margaret or Mary, but it was pre-Mary, as you said. Anyway, sorry, I won't interrupt you.
It's okay. Henry was then born 2 years later in 1491. He died in 1547. So, I mean, as we know, he grew up to have 6 wives and was infamously not very nice to any of them.
He's got this image of being the fat guy who married loads of women and treated them not very well. But he wasn't always like that.
No, for most of his childhood and the first couple of decades of his adult life, he was the handsome Prince of England. He was athletic. It was actually an injury from these athletics that caused him to lose his strength and his stamina, because he couldn't. It was a wound that then got infected and caused him pain for the rest of his life, and he couldn't participate in sports anymore. So he just indulged himself with his riches because he was the King of England. He could do whatever he wanted in his head. So yes, he died in 1547. His sister Elizabeth was born the next year in 1492. She was born on the 2nd of July, and she died 3 years later in 1495.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad.
Yeah, it is.
And then 4 years later, in 1496, Mary was born. I think she was the one to marry the King of France, or marry into the French throne, at least. I'm pretty sure. She died in 1558, so lived well into adulthood. And Henry's next 2 children, Edmund and Catherine, both died in infancy. Edmund was born in 1499 on the 21st of February and died in 1500. And Catherine was born in 1503 and died that same day, along with her mother Elizabeth of York, who died during childbirth due to a postpartum infection.
That's really sad. Just to remind you guys, this is Henry VII we're talking about and his kids.
Yes.
We're not talking about Henry VIII.
Not yet. We'll get there in future episodes. Henry VII was distraught over the death of his wife.
Yeah.
They'd been married for a good many years by this point.
Yeah.
By the standards of the time, with how long people generally lived. They'd been married since either 1485 or 1486, up until 1503.
Even though their marriage was at first quite a securing marriage, it's because
diplomatic.
She was that's a word. She was the sister of the Prince of the Tower, and therefore she had a good claim to she had good blood in the throne than him.
She had a claim to the throne, and it was also to promote peace. He wanted his image in England to be one of prosperity and peace. He wanted people to think of him and think he was a good king, he brought us together, rather than thinking he was the illegal king who stole the throne.
Especially that his predecessor, Richard, had sort of tried to, well, there are rumours that he tried to split the Woodville family up a bit. And he
Yes.
separated the children and their mother and all that. And Henry's
He
not
wanted,
doing this.
yeah, exactly. He wanted his children to have a good chance of staying on the throne.
Mm.
He worked really hard through his whole reign, doing as much as he could to keep himself in the people's favour
Yeah.
so that the Tudor line could stay on the throne. And it did for a while.
Yeah.
It was quite short-lived, comparatively speaking. It ended with Elizabeth when she died childless and James of Scotland took the throne.
Yeah.
He was a cousin, but he wasn't technically a Tudor. So the Tudor line ended with Elizabeth,
Hmm.
which was 2 generations later.
Yeah. Henry the Seventh's reign wasn't always like it wasn't all peaceful though. He had this constant
No.
anxiety of like, oh, these people, Lambert Simnel, going, I'm king, I'm Edward,
Yeah.
the Prince in the Tower.
Yes. And another one, Perkin Warbeck, who one of my classmates used to call Perky Warmanek, and I can now very rarely remember his actual name.
I'm 100% calling him Perky Warmanek now.
Yes,
That's his
it
name.
is a great name.
Yeah.
He came forward and claimed to be Richard, one of the princes who was killed in the tower.
Mhm.
And it took a while for them to figure out that he wasn't. But
Yeah.
Henry was determined because he did not want anyone stealing the throne, especially not this Perky Warmanek guy. Um,
Whoever he is.
whoever he is. So Henry fought to stay on the throne.
Yeah.
When his wife Elizabeth died, the year before, his daughter-in-law Catherine of Aragon, who you will probably know as Henry VIII's first wife, but before that, she was Arthur's wife. She married Arthur. She was the Princess of Spain,
Hmm.
and she came over from Spain to marry Arthur in 1501.
Yeah.
Married him. He died not very long after. She married him in November of 1501, and he
Hmm.
died in April of 1502.
Yeah.
So it was about 5 months later. Um,
Yeah.
and she
And
was 15 when she arrived in England to marry Arthur.
which a lot of people would
She
be
was
shocked
quite
about now.
young.
Yeah. I guess it's
Mm.
like there are other girls who got married when they were like 8 and 9, but they didn't fully like um
Yeah.
consummate the marriage until they were much older, I think.
A common misconception that people have about marriage and adulthood
Mm.
in the medieval and Tudor period specifically, a lot of people think that you got married when you became a teenager, 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
Some people did, but it was usually diplomatic, and they were usually from families in positions of high authority and power or great wealth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
more
And
common.
the peasants kind of would get married at 17, 18,
Yeah,
19, kind of more reasonable ages.
yes. I mean, by today's standards, fairly unreasonable,
Yeah, that's true. But I mean
but
like
but more reasonable than 12.
yeah.
There wasn't very much of an idea of teenagehood in
Yeah.
that time. You became an adult in quotation marks when you were about 13.
Hmm.
But that was the point where you would start, or a few years before that, you'd start learning how to be an adult. The
Hmm.
girls would help their mothers look after children. They would raise their younger siblings.
Hmm.
Um, they would help their older siblings. If they were the younger siblings, they would help their older siblings raise kids.
Yeah.
They would learn to cook if they were in a household where they needed to do that. They would learn to clean. They would learn to run a household.
Yeah.
Um, and the boys would learn how to care for their wife, how
Mm.
to support their family, how to hunt, how
Yeah.
if they were in a knight's household, they would learn how to knight essentially. Um,
Yeah, they'd start out as being and squires.
squires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So that then by the time they got to 17, 18, and occasionally older, I think usually the girls would get married at sort of 18, 19, and the boys would get married at 21.
yeah.
um, that's when you get married, having learned how to adult
Hmm.
before then, so that but you could start having kids right away and raising a family without having to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Um, But
Yeah,
anyway, I
they were
digress.
they were focusing more on trades and how to like work and earn money, and even
Exactly.
even for
Exactly.
girls and some trades that could like bring in and come in. I think
Yeah, exactly.
another common misconception is that girls never like brought in any income. But a
Yeah.
lot of time if they were more like normal families, they would have some sort of income
Yeah,
coming in. It was only until like the
exactly.
1950s that women were like the traditional housewife who waits at home all day
Hmm.
image came in that feminists rebelled
Yeah.
against a bit.
Yeah, there were jobs that women would earn from, not
Yeah,
necessarily very much. Men would definitely earn more,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but there were jobs that women would earn from that were considered women's jobs that men couldn't do, such as laundry. If you were a washerwoman, you would take the laundry from the wealthier houses and you would wash it for them.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
And that it would not be considered right for a man to do that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Brewing was a women's job, brewing beer, which in the Middle Ages especially, you would have like diluted, watered down beer because the water was usually not safe to drink.
yeah, it was safer to drink the alcohol
Hmm.
than
So
even yeah.
even kids would, once they were weaned off milk, would be given significantly diluted beer. Like they did not brew it as strong as
No, it's not as
they
strong
do
as it is
now.
now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that was a woman's job. You wouldn't catch a man brewing the beer. That was the woman's job.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, because the women still it'd be unfair to expect the women to have all these kids. They had more kids back then, have all these kids, look after the house and get a job. But she still had this
Yeah.
income. So it wasn't big,
Hmm.
but anyway, we've gone down a rabbit hole, sorry.
We're very good at rabbit holes, and
This is
you
our
will
like
find that out.
P we haven't gone to university yet, but we've already got a PhD in this.
In rabbit holes.
Yeah. Expertise.
Expertise. Um, so yes, back on topic.
Hmm.
Uh, Arthur married Catherine, and Catherine, when Arthur died, she was 16.
Yeah.
She was widowed at 16. There was debate over whether she had properly consummated her marriage with Arthur.
Yeah.
Um,
At the
After
time,
their wedding
yeah,
night, it was considered proper to have blood on the sheets at the end of your wedding night, and they didn't, which is
right.
kind of gory and scary. But
Yeah.
you know, yeah,
But
that's
yeah.
yeah.
Who,
So
who are the creepy servants who are going in, giving all these details to the public?
mm,
Or whoever cleaned their bed?
yeah, so it was considered that they had not properly consummated their marriage. Sorry, hold on, clear my throat.
Okay,
Um,
you just said that my mic.
uh, it was considered that they had not properly consummated their marriage. So there was debate on whether Catherine was actually ever married to Arthur, because that's how it worked in those days.
Yeah.
They'd performed the ceremony, but there was debate over whether it had been consummated. And in 1503, when Elizabeth of York died, Henry VII was getting on in years by that
Yeah.
point. He was an elderly chap, and he asked Catherine to marry her because he wanted a young wife who'd give him more kids, before to ensure that his kids would have a shot at the throne.
Yeah.
Um, he had 4 living kids at this point, and he had 3 living kids, and one of them was a son, and a strong and handsome and a healthy son at this point,
Yeah.
who was significantly younger. Um, he was a lot younger than Catherine, but Catherine refused Henry VII and insisted that she wait until Henry VIII was of age and marry him.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, father-in-law or brother-in-law, which one is less creepy?"
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there was debate over whether she could marry Henry VIII because he was at that point called Harry, so let's call him Harry for now.
Yeah.
He became Henry when he took the throne. But Catherine, having technically been married to Arthur, there was debate over whether she was allowed to marry her husband's brother.
And they received,
Um,
I believe they received special permission from Pope Clement. to
They did, yes.
have that marriage.
Considering that there was debate over whether she'd truly been married to Arthur.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think it was on the basis of the possibility that the marriage wasn't consummated.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she waited for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
She did, yes. She married Henry or Harry, let's call him, in 1509, and she was widowed in 1502. So 7 years she waited for Henry to
Wow.
come of age so that she could marry him. And shortly after the marriage, she became queen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that Henry VII died not that long before they were married.
That makes sense.
So she had quite an eventful life, and we will go into more detail on that in the next episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And talk about her upbringing in Spain and her move to England and her marriage to Arthur and then Henry and then the divorce process
And then
later in her
because
life.
that divorce process was the seed that changed England and the world forever, really.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Um, what if
What if?
Catherine had a son of
What
Arthur's
if Arthur
blood?
hadn't died? Yeah.
If Arthur hadn't died, England would be very different.
Yes, I think it would. His death played a huge role in the Reformation in England.
Yeah.
By this point, I think Martin Luther had already started his whole thing in Germany because that was in 14 something.
Yeah. Oh, and that's also an interesting note because Martin Luther put his 91 thesis, it was, on the doors of Gutenberg. And then Henry, who at the time was still a devout Catholic, he wrote this big essay defending the Catholic faith. And the Pope gave him a special title called Defender of the Faith. I can't remember the Latin for it, but Defender of the Faith. And that's still what the monarchs of today, because you have to be Protestant to be monarch. And what if you're going to be monarch, you have to be Protestant. They still have that title. You'll see it on your coins. In your purse and stuff. I just think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. There are a lot of things that have carried down from the Tudor period, especially. The Tudor period was a huge time of change.
But it's during the Renaissance
in
and
England.
all that, and yeah,
exactly. Science and art and culture changed enormously in that sort of 100 years or so.
Yeah, Renaissance, of course, means new birth. So it's like a new birth of so many things.
Yeah. So, that's a brief overview of between Richard III and Catherine of Aragon. And next time we will go more into detail with Catherine.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you for this, Jessica. I think you
You're
presented
welcome.
it lovely, in a lovely way.
Thank you.
And I can't wait for the next episode because it's gonna be what we're about to dive into. It's gonna be really fun, and it's just been like, these guys are basically gonna hear us geek out.
Yeah, and it's so fun.
Yeah.
So catch you next time, guys.
Catch you next time, guys. And as always, this is Home-Brewed. Yeah.
Yes.
See you.